The Discovery well was just north of us a few miles in 1954. Since then, several hundred wells have been drilled, and some of these wells here have had 2, 3, 4 pipelines ran to them over their lifetime. So we've got lots of old infrastructure here. It's not uncommon for us to have 60, 70 crossings in one short flow line. A third of them are active, the other 2/3 would be abandoned lines. We treat every line like it's live, no matter what.
You might think it's an abandoned line, and when you go to dig that abandoned line up, you might have the wrong line on the report, right? It might say that there's a 3-inch yellow jacket underneath there. You find a 3-inch yellow jacket that you think might be abandoned, and it might be over 10 feet, it might be over 15 feet, and you might be digging on a live one. So anytime you do dig, take that precaution to say, hey, this could be live, so let's treat it as live. And if you treat everything like they're live, there's a lot less chances of people getting hurt. And an incident report with an abandoned well is the same thing as a live well. So you still got to report it the exact same way. We still have to take the precautions and do the corrective actions so it doesn't happen again.
In 2021, AAA was awarded the Sask WorkSafe Employer of the Year Award, bringing in some new tools such as a Site Docs application where all of the safety documents are real-time on a web-hosted application. Everybody has a cell phone these days. The guys rarely leave home without them. So on there, they're able to do their hazard assessments, they're able to do their work completions. We have all of our investigation forms, we have our near-miss forms, we have any first aid forms, and everything that it comes to our safety manual and any type of resources that the guys could possibly need are on there. Moving to the paperless design has helped increase the compliance level of our employees and engagement level as well with the overall safety program. We work in rural settings, we work in farm rural settings, we work in rural municipality settings, we work in urban settings such as Regina, Saskatoon, some of our larger centers, commercial, residential, so we're kind of all over the place. If you're on private property where my guys are working, they're crossing over from a commercial alley, which has a lot of backbone infrastructure for SaskTel, SaskPower, Sask Energy that would be running down the alley. On the private property side, you've got all of the drop services that are going for SaskPower, Sask Energy, Tel Access, going to the house itself. The avoidance starts with the legwork, getting into the work area and marking it with white paint, contacting Sask First Call in order to define your work area and to initiate the process of having all entities come out and locate their underground facilities. If we're not warned that there's an abandoned line in the area and we come out with a cable wrapped around our drill head, that just sparks a whole bunch of problems. The only way we can tell if it is abandoned is by contacting the appropriate entities and then telling us that there is no service outages. It still is a full work stoppage and we treat it just as it would be a live line strike.
You do your first call, which is very easy. You could call in, you could do it on a computer. They'll mark all your utilities, power, telephone, natural gas, and any foreign crossings. So it could be a transmission line, it could be another oil and gas company, it could be anybody that's in the area, and they'll all have to get back to you on their location on their underground facilities. Once we do that, then we will call our surveyors out, and they'll come out and they'll stake our flow lines. Once we do that, we actually call a second survey contractor, and they do what we call a second sweep. You're just double checking the first locators to be sure there hasn't been a mismark, line forgotten. You just eliminate mistakes. It costs money, but what's the cost of an incident? What's the cost of somebody getting hurt?
You keep on hitting lines, the government will just say, hey, you're not digging anymore. Now all of a sudden you got to go find a different line of work. If you're an employer, you hit a line, you kill an employee, there could be some criminal charges. That second sweep could be worth its weight in gold. When it comes to the court of law, they're going to say, hey, what did you do to protect yourself? What did you do to try and not have a line strike? All of a sudden, now you got that in your defense to say, I called first call, here's the number. I did the second sweep, here's the receipt for the second sweep. He couldn't find anything. We did the hydrovacing. All of those things are a defense in your favor so that if something does happen, the judge will look at that and go, yeah, he did everything he could have to prevent that incident.
The line hit process starts where the crew contacts me immediately, all work shuts down, and then we try to determine what is the most relevant entity, being power, tel, or energy, and notify them of the possible line hit so that we can get the appropriate technicians out there to begin the investigation to determine whether this is a live line or it was an abandoned line. And until we bring those parties out there, we just don't have the equipment to tell whether it is or not. And in the case of energy or power, we don't want to be messing around with that any more than we already have. If you're not avoiding all the cables in the ground, abandoned or not, it could potentially lead to a large safety risk. Do your proper ground disturbance and treat everything as a live line.
Just use SAS First Call. It's simple, it's easy, it's free. Just use it.
That's the whole name of this game. Dig safely.